This is our mudroom / our second kitchen. It's an Amish house. It's odd. Up here is where the stove's gonna go. Propane stove. As you can see, it's we're still working in this space, and the stove fits perfectly, but there is no hood. So I'm gonna make one. Here's some old pieces of metal. I have about 4 of these. I've already used the ones I'm going to use, but this is what it looks like when it started. It's just, I don't know, metal. This is one of the 4 pieces I had. Just a angle grinder, sanding pad, 80 grit, and yeah. It shines up pretty good. So this is how I decided to bend it. I just had a leftover shelf bracket, and I put the clamps on the table and the bracket, and I had some pliers and I pulled up on it, and I made this little shape. And then I folded the bottoms in. Okay, this is where I'm at right now. This stuff came pre-perforated, which is really cool. And utilize that, I guess. It's not attached in any way. This piece is just resting on top of another piece. And I was going to use rivets, but I can't find any in the store or in my supply. So I have these shelf screws that you can cut down to length. Nuts. I put fold some. Probably cut this corner down a little bit and tab it over itself, and then drill it and screw it. And then down here, some spots in the middle, and then repeat the process on that side, I think. And then I'm going to try to put a seam here somewhere here. And then I'm going to try to put this bracket down. We'll see how successful that is. So I folded the metal over, I put the bolt in, drilled the hole, squished it good, and that's my first 2 joints, and then I will put the rest together and clean up my area. I bent this part out. And you see a little bit of light in there, and that is to run wiring in here so that I will have some lighting. And it's proving difficult to put these bolts in without stripping the threads, but I am going to keep doing that. And then I guessed, measured, and cut here and there with angle grinder. I'm going to take a bar that I cut to length from an old shelf. My children have guinea pigs. Hi, kids.
Hi.
Autumn, how are your guinea pigs?
Good.
Okay. Okay, so I got one bend in here. So it's bent. And drilled a hole. So I'll have to match the other side to it. Should start resembling a vent hood now, more or less. There it is. It has a little crack here. I'm going to have to fill it with something. It's all screwed together. No vents on the inside, no wiring yet. I didn't want this to have a sharp edge, so I hammered it over, which I thought would be an easy fix. But then this had a sharp edge, so I hammered it over. And it's actually not too bad. It is the wrong color, so we're going to put some paint on it. Then we're going to wire it somehow to some lights and a fan. Here is my fan. So it's just an old, I don't even know, AC fan, and it works pretty good once it gets a battery attached to it and other stuff in the way. And then I have a bunch of these LEDs that I have been saving for a project, and they're fairly bright. Had a water heater break, an on-demand water heater. These are 2 D-cell batteries in a compartment from the, well, I saved it from the exploded water heater. So if you connect this one of the 2 ways, I believe it's that way. 1 second, come on little guy. There it goes. So that is kind of like the idea. And I have this dryer duct that I have, this came off of a ceiling fan. I cut it because it was the right size for the dryer duct, and the ceiling fan was toast. And I crimped it, and I'm going to finish crimping it all the way around. Just angle grinder, fold it over, smash it, repeat. And this gives it a nice rigid housing that will attach through the hole. Probably make the hole a little bigger. And it will attach to the fan. And then it will cut a hole in the ceiling and out the air. This is where it's supposed to be for the fan. This is for the light. The fan and the light need different voltages. And I don't have AC power at my house. This really cool, very old propane canister with cool brass valve is going to be how I melt some of these glue sticks that should not melt again from the heat of this at all. And I'm going to melt this wire on here, more or less in this pattern. I'm going to take the soldering iron, which I don't want to cover in glue stick. I'm going to probably scratch off the metal, and I'm going to start soldering in these lights, more or less, somewhere random and cool looking, hopefully. I don't know, I'll figure it out. So that was way harder than I thought it would be, mostly because the stuff doesn't want to dry. It's still kind of tacky. And this here is house wire, which I know isn't the best for DC, but it's what I got. And it will work for low voltage. Here is what I was working on. I had some problems. I got the glue to hold. Haven't made anything non-conductive yet. This is what I ended up using. It is perfect for melting plastic, which is going to be my anti-electrical component. This glue, melted glue, glue stick glue, doesn't conduct electricity, at least as far as I can tell. We hot glue gunned the electrical contacts to the metal, which sounds ghetto, but it actually works. So, 2 little D-cell batteries. That's negative. Touch it to the frame. It's not a good connection, but that's what we're going for. Okay. Painted it white. Paint's still wet. Wasn't very good. Oh. I only had 1 can, so just the visible part is painted. But that's all right. There it goes. So that is what we're going for. It's pretty good. Got the fan in. It spins freely. Doesn't go anywhere. So I drilled 4 holes to mount it. And I'm going to use these Firestone washers right there to hold it. And I have a hex head screw that has a washer that will hold that washer in place, and I can adjust the height so I can get it nice and snug. And it should be alright like that. 4, it should be good. Alright, very unassuming. There it is. It's about midnight, so I'm gonna have to go to bed. Finish working on it later. In a completely unrelated thing, this is an awesome battery pack. That is the light that will be lighting up the stove. No light. Light. That is pretty cool. So this room doesn't have, well, it's an Amish house. It has no lights. Gas fridge. And off. And on. These LEDs do burn quite a bit of actual power. I think I had one plugged in for like 12 hours on one AA, so can't just like leave them on forever. AA died. But I'm happy with this. Fan works great. It just takes a 12 volt supply. I'll have to make one for it. Alright, so I made this thing out of a piece of ceiling fan that was no good. The whole ceiling fan's no good. See, it's like, it was the housing that held the lights that wasn't part of the fan. And then I cut down this ring from it. I was trying to make it fit. I mismeasured somewhere, so I had to cut it again. It's just rough right now. Splayed out all these little bits. So this guy will go in here like that. Okay, that's better. Split inside and outside. Snaps on here. Eventually snaps on there. Okay, that took a while. I didn't know really how to attach this, but this is how it's going to be attached. It hangs on very well. Seems sturdy, and just needs to be sealed for leaks. Foil tape. Foil tape. Okay. There's the fan. And then, yeah, it's a used dryer vent, so there's a little bit of dust left. I'll blow that out. Here's what I've done so far. That's just fireproof coated, doesn't matter. Foil, just 2 screws so I can change it out if a fan breaks or whatever. Cord, and then all this stuff's wired to ground, which is going to be a battery, so it doesn't matter. And I gotta go out there. I'm gonna work on the wiring first. Since this is to ground, I probably can just do that for a second and get, yep, sure enough. That one's dead, I gotta figure out why. It was just a loose connection. I fixed it. There it is. And this is why auto manufacturers go to ground. Because look at that. Blinky, blinky. Half as much wire, half as much cost. Okay, so the switches I had, apparently they don't work. But the tilt ceiling fan switch does. It's got that retro kind of feel for it. So I'm going to run insulated wires through there because of its placement. Have this guy, I don't know, somewhere like that. And see if that works. Okay, there it is. And it kind of looks retro. Matches at least. Hey, look. Yay. It works. Alright. This is the battery I made. It's just a bunch of AA's instead of a pipe. It's insulated inside. It has a contact. It's nothing important. It just is the right voltage for my solar panel that I found. Wiring is, it's not great. But there it is. That's the light, and see a light switch. Over here is this one. That's the fan. I'm going to attach that better. But, so you can see it. It's pretty good. And then the lights. The lights are running off of 3 volts, and the fan is running off of a 12, 13, 14, 14.4 volt battery. Gives it a little bit more torque. And it's all sealed up this far anyways. And it's blowing the dust out of the old dryer vent, which I will finish cleaning because it still has some stuff in it. Yeah, works good. Okay, we're ready to hook up the gas stove. This is where the gas comes into the house. That's where our valve is. And that's the refrigerator. So I'm going to tee in here and then go up, across, down, and over and hook it up to this little guy. Okay, so I tied it in, went across the top, back down, and all I did here was I smashed a piece of pipe flat, bent it around a wooden dowel, drilled a hole through it, and then found a stud. And it works good. On the wall, and then it's going to go to the stove once we, 9-volt battery, pilot light, oven. Ooh, pretty. Okay. Back burner, front burner, rear burner. There they are. Some light. And some ventilation. And that is an off-grid little guy. Yeah. All the way back to the refrigerator. And yeah, propane fridge, completely off grid. Yay.